Welcome back everyone to the shop. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on today. We have a family that's coming up to look at the old adventure van, the 2003 Ford Club E350 that I've had out in the barn forever. So I want to pull that out. It's all dusty from sitting there and the battery's probably dead. So we'll get that going, washed and ready for them to come and see. Hopefully that'll make a good van for them. So I'll just invite you to come hang out. Jack is going to get started on his wood splitting, so who knows what's going to happen today, but we're going to have a good time. I've got my lithium jump pack. Is that charged up? It still amazes me that you can actually jumpstart a dead battery with these little lithium jump packs. Okay, if I remember right, push boost. And you got 30 seconds to start. Good news, guys, the adventure van officially has a new home. A couple of nice ladies came out and took it off our hands. Most likely, they wanted to have it checked out by a mechanic, so we went ahead and did the wholesale, and I said, take it to your mechanic. If you have any problems, we'll make it right with you. So barring that, then it definitely has a new home. Nice to have that area freed up in the shop for more junk, right? So Jack is down with the splitter doing the big rounds that wouldn't fit through the firewood processor, and I was trying to figure out a way to help kind of lubricate that slide. So here's what we came up with. That carriage on that Timberwolf, you know, on that I-beam slides back and forth, you know, thousands of times, and it's hard to lubricate it. It's got some grease zerks on it, but it doesn't really work very good. So I thought if we just took a little motor oil deal here and just kind of kept that nearby, he could just take that and put a little hole on it, pour a little out on there every 15 minutes or so, and I think that will help. So let's go take that down there and see if that's going to work. For our next project, we've got to get this that Warren 9000 winch wrapped up here. Remember, we put the new solenoids in, everything's working properly. I ordered some new cable, so I have a new wire rope from Warren that will spool on there. That old one was getting pretty well haggard after 20 years of pretty hard use. And as I was seeing that this, or looking at this ground cable is damaged and needs repaired. So let's fix that up first, and then we'll wind a new spool of rope on it. I don't particularly like the look of this cable there. That's the thing, man. Winches, when you need a winch, you typically need it, and you need it to work. Snowstorm, tree down, who knows what, and the electrical problem is just not what you want to deal with at the time. So let's be a little preemptive here and get this sorted out. That looks pretty well like it's had it. I got to get myself a new pair of nippers. I've had these snap-on nippers for 20 years, and even though I've sharpened them, it seems like they're just never the same. And the problem when you don't have a snap-on guy around to warranty them, you can never track one down. I don't think I'm gonna buy snap-on as far when it comes to like pliers and nippers and channel locks and things anymore. I'm gonna go with the German ones, like Knipex, made by the Master Race, because they seem to be really good tools, and they're less less than half. I got a new copper end there. So with these guys here, they're only going to slide in so far. So right where it starts to taper, you want to strip that back, and we'll use some of that real nice, maybe a little less, that real nice 3M shrink tape. I've not had any luck with a cheap shrink tape from like the Amazon stuff. It's tempting because you get a whole pack of them, but that stuff is just not very good. The 3M stuff, I'll show you the difference here in a minute, is way better. I was having trouble getting that wire threaded on there because it's kind of, it's old and mashed out. What I found is if you just take your hammer on the back of your vise or your anvil, and remember your vise, this is a poundable surface. It's designed to be kind of a little anvil on your workbench. You can pound these together while rotating it, kind of straighten that out, and then usually turn this to the right. If you are careful, you can get all of those many strands. The higher quality of the wire, the more strands it's going to have, and this has so many strands it looks like hair. That's a good wire. That's the best quality. And of course, all copper. Be careful when buying wire. Sometimes you'll be enticed to buy stuff that's less expensive, and if you look closely, oftentimes it'll be copper-coated aluminum, and aluminum doesn't conduct nowhere near as good as copper does. So make sure you always demand 100% copper wire. There, I think we got that. We got it all on there. That's nice. We can crimp this on here. Now this is a heavy crimper for like the big wires, and these are pretty nice because they have adjustable mandrels in them. If you push these guys, they'll rotate, so you can do like all different sizes. Well, now here we go. You can see how those rotate. They rotate, and they have different openings in different sizes, so that they're more versatile. So you pick the one you want, and then you put it over your deal, and then really put the crimp on it. And that ain't gonna come loose. Actually, I think I chose the wrong size. I think I went to one too small. Doesn't matter. Let's knock this. We'll knock that down a little bit so it doesn't eat through our shrink tape. But it'll. Here's the difference in the shrink tapes I was telling you about. This is the good quality 3M stuff that really shrinks down small. It's a lot thicker, more rigid. This is the stuff that I usually get on Amazon, and it's not really even worth putting on, in my opinion. So usually an inch or so is enough. Trauma shears are pretty hard to beat for cutting this. And the best way I've found to heat that stuff up is the heat gun. You can use a torch or a lighter, but you run the risk of burning it, and I've done that too many times. So slide to the edge there, and this should come right down, shrink right down nice, and protect that edge, that cable from fraying like it did last time. Had they heat shrunk this with the good stuff, it probably would still be working today. It's really important when you put this stuff back together again, make sure that those connections are clean. A lot of car batteries are thrown away on equipment just because they have been corroded or dirty terminals, when all you'd have to do is just brush them a little bit. I keep a brass brush on your workbench nearby, so you always have it handy, and then clean all that oxidization off there on both sides, and it will hardly ever give you trouble. Same goes over here. This is a shared ground, so we've got a little internal wire there that grounds those solenoids inside. Clean both sides of it. That off there. You can clean corroded battery cables with a mix of water and baking soda, if that's what you have, or you can buy the pre-canned stuff. I kind of keep these together, and these things will last forever. I mean, you can tell how old they are. Battery protectant terminal spray and battery cleaner spray. My granddad, of course, he was a mechanic. He was a big fan of this stuff. And you see how it foams up right there? That's a cleaning action, right? When it's foaming, it's good. And clean all that stuff up there. Happiness is indeed a clean electrical connection, isn't it? And of course, we're going to use 243 Loctite. Use it on everything, because then we never have bolts coming loose. And now we're in. Now we're cooking. Isn't that a lot better? I think that's a lot better. And if you want to really take it one step further, this protectant spray, the red spray, especially on your batteries after you clean it, just give a little shot of this stuff. And it's a kind of a, I should have shaken that up a little bit. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it really helps with that corrosion, those corrosion problems. I do the same on these guys. Of course, I use the Anderson connectors so that I can move my winch back, either use it on my trailer or use it on the truck, the front hitch, the rear hitch. I pre-wire everything so that I can, this is on just a homemade kind of a multi-mount there. It's more versatile. Because I've had to pull stuff real heavy up on the flatbed trailer, and you don't want to have a dedicated winch if you're just doing it once in a while. That way you can take your winch off your truck and do that. These Anderson connectors are really cool because they're both the same. They're all the same either way. So you can mount one on your truck or on your trailer, and how they work, they've just got a stainless steel tab in there. You'll braze or weld those, solder those on there, or you can just clamp them on there, and then they snap in to a little stainless steel clip in there. So if you look at that, you see that little tab on there. So you put the tab down and then slide it in like that, and see how that snapped in there. Now you can just plug that into anything you want. Mount this up to our, hold it here temporarily in our vise until we can wire that or run that rope on there. Let's take a look at this new wire rope here. I don't like this. I do love that blue synthetic rope, but it's very expensive and it's not super durable. You're not going to get that to last like wire rope does, especially when you're, skidding logs and doing more than just retrieval. Look at that. Nice. That should be 5/16 on the drum side. Actually, one of my first jobs, I worked at Warren Industries, and I used to make these ends. This very end right here, I probably used the machine that did it. It was a big old press. I wound this wire rope onto drums all day long. You got to pull this all the way out. Don't try to wind it on out of a spool or it'll twist up on you. I remember the very first time I saw a Warren winch used to save the day, literally. It was when I was a boy. We used to go, our family vacation every year, we would go to Prineville Reservoir and water ski. Grew up water skiing and doing that sort of thing. So we have a whole family, big group, 100 people or better. And I remember it was kind of a steep approach to the campground as you went down to the water. And a guy, I don't remember who it was, but a guy had started down there, and he had a pickup and a big trailer, great big trailer. And he got down in there and realized he couldn't get through with that trailer, but he was stuck because he was headed downhill, and there was no way he could back out on that dirt road with that trailer on. And one of the guys in our group, and I don't remember who it was, an older guy, I think he maybe worked at Warren, had a 12,000-pound winch, the biggest one that they made on a brand new Ford pickup. And he pulled behind that guy and tied off to a tree. This here, we're going to put that on there, tight against a drum, so that then we can start winding it. Hopefully, does it wind this way? Oh, forget. We'll just assume it does. And he hooked onto a tree to keep himself from being pulled, and hooked onto that thing and yarded that trailer and truck and all out of that hole. And I just remember that just being the coolest thing. I thought that was about the coolest guy ever. Be able to, he had the equipment and the know-how and the knowledge to solve what looked like to me to be an insurmountable problem, and it was no big deal because he had that big winch. And I'll never forget that. Now we can put our hook back on. Oh, the old school hook is a different size, huh? We'll just have to persuade it otherwise here. Put a brand new cotter pin in it from Granddad's drawer. Bend those back and pinch them together or they'll tear your hands up. When you grab them, they get kind of sharp. Just like that. Should look kind of like a boat anchor. Here's that Anderson connector I was telling you about. I've got these mounted on my vehicle's front and rear. So all you need to do is slide your winch into any of the 2-inch receivers, and then you can plug it in here, and then it's more universal that way. That's ready to go. All right, another project done and off the workbench. That feels good.